I recently had a case where a young woman came in to see me. She sat down and started telling me the story. And I just when I thought I'd heard it all, this case was just over the top. She met a young man, as many do, in today's online dating world. Online. Sounded like a nice guy, wrote a nice profile, had a nice picture, and so she was interested. She contacts him, he contacts her, they communicate for a while online, then she takes the deep dive. She meets him. She finds him to be very charming, very alluring, very confident, and treated her right. And the relationship grew and grew. He told her in his first date and in his profile that he was single. As she went on with the relationship, she became pregnant by him. And when she told him that she was pregnant, she was all excited. And he said to her, "Do you think you could have an abortion?" And she was devastated. She was positively flabbergasted. But this guy that she loved, that she was in love with, would not want to have her child. And then the real bomb hit. Not only did he want her to have an abortion, he explained to her how he was married and had been married and had basically been untruthful. That's putting it mildly. He blatantly lied to her about the relationship, about being married, about being this so-called successful person, and that he was in love with her. So when she refused to have an abortion, he says to her, "I own a home. It has an in-law apartment. Why don't you move into the in-law apartment? And I can stay with my wife, and I can also visit with you," because I cleared it with my wife. And the first question I had was, who the hell is his wife that's going to want to share her husband with another woman in the in-law apartment next door? How did the father, whatever you want to call this guy, got this woman to agree to allow his mistress to live in the in-law apartment? And just when you think that's not crazy enough, he says to her, "We could have a polygamous relationship," which, by the way, polygamy is banned in all 50 states. Hello? So in essence, this guy lied and cheated on his wife, on his girlfriend / whatever you want to call her. He wanted her to get an abortion. He wanted to live in a polygamy relationship, which is against the law. And he saw nothing wrong with it, Mr. Charming. When the baby was born, she wanted nothing to do with this guy. And he was BS because he wanted to cut back on the child support. That's the only thing he was interested in. He never visited. He never went and saw the child, never took the child to the doctor, and basically just etched this child completely out of his life. Well, one day, the child was at the playground and was accidentally pushed by another child and got hurt. So Mom immediately called this gentleman out, Mr. Charming, and told him the story. No big deal. So when he saw the child a day later, the child had bruises, he immediately called DCF on her. DCF went out and visited the father, who spun one heck of a yarn, never told DCF about the relationship, about being married, about the abortion, about the polygamy, about being unlawful, and just blatantly not telling any truthful statements. And he stated that the mother beat the kid up, which is totally false. DCF listened to the father, who was completely charming, and supported the allegation against my client. So now she had to go and do what? File for a fair hearing. And got a fair hearing within the 30 days, and then she started doing an assessment. The evidence and the facts came out. And when we went to a fair hearing, we presented all the evidence about how father was deceitful and was unlawful and had lied, blatantly lied. And that DCF took his story, hook, line, and sinker. When all was said and all was done, after all the evidence we put before the fair hearing officer, DCF fair hearing officer did the right thing. Saw the evidence as it was, that this was a good mother. And all father was trying to do is get out from paying child support to try and get the child away from the mother. And all he was trying to do was hurt this woman, which he'd done over and over and over again by victimizing her, by not telling the truth about his relationship, by not telling the truth about being married, by not telling the truth about having asked this woman to have an abortion, by telling this woman that she could live with them in a polygamous relationship with him and his wife in the in-law apartment. And the story went on and on and on. And when all was said and done, the case of neglect was reversed. The mother now lives happily ever after. Now, the story gets even better though. All this evidence was now taken back into probate and family court, where mother utilized it to basically get this father to pay more child support as well as to limit his involvement with the child, because everyone should see their father or their dad. But one thing is abundantly clear, that this father's lies and his attempts to try and hurt this mom, which was continuous in nature in probate and family court, as well as at the hearing, was put to an end. And the stopping of this nonsense by this narcissistic father, who was absolutely trying to alienate the child any way he could from the mother so he wouldn't have to pay child support. Mr. Wonderful, I call him. But in the end, Mr. Wonderful got exactly what he deserved, just desserts. And everybody went home happy, and everybody's happy today. So Mr. Wonderful didn't get his way. He wasn't so charming after all. And the evidence proved it. The process, the procedure, and the protocols were utilized to their full advantage. And in the end, Mom came out smelling like a rose, which she was. She did the right thing. She was honest and forthright. And this awful human being who she had a child with got what he deserved too, just desserts from the probate and family court.